I'm Ryan Scott. I run Blue Cat Motorcycle. I'm here in St. Paul, Minnesota. Specifically, I guess if I really go back, the first riding experience, yes, it's probably in the late 70s, being 8 or 9 years old, on a little moped, on a JCPenney Pinto 2 moped, which I still have to this day. But that would be it, like getting on and twisting a throttle on something with an engine and 2 wheels. That'd be it. My first bike was a Honda CB500T, brown on brown. It's a pretty good story. I grew up in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, as a young, goofy little punk rocker, looking weird or anything out of normal. It was really difficult to get work. Ultimately, you would default to manpower or a temporary work business, or whatever they call them. A friend of mine had worked there, and as working there, you could put your name in the drawing to win a new CD boombox. This is when CDs first came out, so it was a big deal. They were expensive. I won the drawing, so I won a CD boombox. I'm like, I got a CD boombox. It's the 80s. This is great. CDs were far and few in between, and they were like $25, even way back, in like 80, whatever it was, 85, 86. So I traded that to my friend's older brother for his Honda CB500T. So that's how I traded. That was my first bike. That's how I got it. I was thinking of it that way. There wasn't any one particular person that inspired me to ride besides seeing things as a kid on movies or cartoons. Just simply the fact that motorcycles look cool. I also grew up I grew up right outside of Milwaukee, near Road America. So between Harley Davidsons and then actually quite a bit of sport bikes and European bikes I was exposed to just as a kid. So that's just really kind of, Road America is probably the biggest influence on why I wanted to ride, because of the vast variety of machines and people at those places. It was different than the normal kind of Milwaukee jazz or what was going on locally in my small town. Yes, there is a bike that got away. You want me to elaborate on the bike that got away?
Yeah. Oh, you don't want
no, I know. No, I don't mind. I just know. There's probably a guy that's going to see this that has the bike, which is fine, and we're on great terms. I love him. Awesome guy. Actually worked and co-owned this business with me at one time, but we had decided to split ways, which was fine. And he did, he put in a lot of time and effort, and there wasn't a lot of money per se to give if one was a partner here and wanted to leave. But there was some stuff that, fair is fair. There was I had a really nice big bread truck, like a big delivery van that went. And then I had a choice of some stuff that I would not ever care about, but that 1964 Velocette Clubman. With 1,500 original miles from the first owner. I rolled that out the door. But at the time, it was also that I had the business going on, and the business was important. But I still, and I know it's probably, knowing who has it, he probably still has it, which is fine, which makes me happy knowing that it's, but yeah, that Clubman, that does keep me up at night. I am working on, currently I've got a Norton Commando that is probably worked on and done. We did just recently pick up and work on an old Sealy built Norton Racer that is also up and done. And then probably the big one is I have an old Dunstall Norton with a Druin supercharger kit on it that we're working on. It's an uphill battle and we'll figure it out, but I'm always working on something. I mean, I could name off 18 more bikes. Those are my personal ones at the time, at this moment. Well, my advice for getting your first bike would, first off, I would be decide on a budget. It's not going to dictate too much what you can and cannot do, but definitely get a budget and be realistic about it. 2, I'd be realistic about your intended use of this machine and make sure you get a bike that you're going to use, that you don't get some big giant dirt bike that you thought you were going to adventure travel on and you end up not using it at all. And also be realistic about anything vintage you get and the expectations of what it's going to do for you, and again, what your intended use of that machine is. And then I'd also be very conscious about, like, you might want that Thruxton, you might want that cafe racer, you might want the big chopper, but if you sit on it and it doesn't fit your body and you don't like it and it's not ergonomically fit, it's going to suck. And you're not going to enjoy motorcycling. And that weird, ugly brown motorcycle that fit you like a glove, that should be the bike that you buy, as long as it meets your intended needs and uses and budget. I'll give you the Maharajah story. And it's one of these stories that sounds kind of like bullshit, but I've got friends and I got pictures and photos. I got an X-ray up there to back it up. I can show you it. Again, throughout traveling India at the time, me, guy that worked here, good friend Nick, my younger brother, his girlfriend at the time, some other people we had met. We had gone into a small town of Bundi, India. Bundi, it's a cool little teeny town. Tourism hadn't hit it yet. Roger Kipling wrote the Jungle Book on a lake, and there's some tourist stuff, but that's what we went to go look at, the lake, where this book was written and where this gentleman had his writing studio and overlooked this lake. But across the lake was a big, weird, giant tree with like a big treehouse top on it. And we gotta go look. So cruise the motorcycles over to this place, and it's a nice compound with nice tents that you stay in, like high-end tents with Western toilets. But they had a big treehouse that he built a deck on, and you could go up there and have beers. Had a few beers, and eventually the owner comes out and introduces himself, and we didn't think much of it. He's a nice, fancy guy, cool guy. We go back down, come back the next day, drink some more with him. He's like, come back the next day, drink with us, which we did. And got fairly, talked, had a bonfire, introduced himself as the Maharajah of this local area, the Bundi area. Traveling in India, you don't know if it's full of shit or if it's not full of shit. Like, is this guy just trying to scam me? I don't know. I mean, he does own like a bunch of tents, and he does seem to have like nice cars and whatever. So we were there late at night, and on the way back, they had changed the road, of course, with no warning signs, as they will do in India or anywhere in a third world country, I assume. Not that I've been to many besides India. But the girl that we were with, she was riding my brother's girlfriend, Brooke is her name, awesome woman. Basically went off the road, broke a collarbone. The next day we went back to this gentleman for help, and he's like, oh, I am the Maharajah of this, I own 550 square miles, which turned out to be true. Flew in a helicopter for her shoulder, flew in a doctor, and then and I mean, the story, I guess, goes on from there. I mean, that could be a long. So it turned out to be, we actually did meet indeed the Maharajah from like a straight up like 1,000-year-old family lineage, has his own like castle, an old giant estate that he doesn't stay at. It's all crumbling, but he owns it, and ended up getting invited to stay on his compound for over, 4 or 5 weeks. So we just hung out with the Maj, Tino, fixed his generator. His best friend from a kid had a wedding, and the generator broke. We fixed the generator for him. He's like, guests don't fix stuff, but was blown away that we did it. Rumpel, which works here, the right-hand man of the Maharajah was named Rumpel. And I was so impressed with Rumpel and his work ethic, I wanted to borrow Rumpel. And he's like, you can borrow Rumpel? Go for it. So I had Rumpel for a couple days, and I'm like, man, when I get back to the States, I'm going to hire myself a Rumpel. I meant for it to be someone much younger than who I actually hired, but the one condition that I said was like, hey man, I know it's weird, but I'm going to call you Rumpel if you work here. And of course, you're going to be like, sure, whatever, man, as long as I get the job. And that is why Rumpel is named Rumpel.